Hello again, everybody! This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with another Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor commentary. We're gonna go ahead and start off with a head coach as the source object. Of course, this series is just where I create your favorite characters in the Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor. That's a feature on the Wii U and PC versions of this game. The head coach, we do want the male head coach just for the voice. Most likely for that. You could probably still start off with the female and be okay. That was just why you saw that I actually did head coach twice. You know, we had to go back into it. So you can see that I've got this kind of color palette, strangely enough, right here that's mostly purple. What that signifies is that we're going to be creating King Dice from Cuphead, of course, the Cuphead game. And so this is an interesting character. I'm really happy about it. So thank you guys for requesting that. And we got a ping pong ball right now for the buttons on the tuxedo right here. And there was a squid upper tentacle piece. So if you take this kind of tentacle that's near the squid's body after you type that in, the same thing works for the jellyfish. You guys have probably seen this. If you've seen most episodes of this series, you'll notice that I do use the jellyfish semi-often, and so the squid is the same kind of principles here. A mahi-mahi was like the fish that we used for the fin on the side of it that has that basically for the lapels and those folds right there for his tucks. Cotton right now for the gloves we can actually use, but a pool girl, the back arm of that pool girl was the main part of the arms, and so we'll go with a cuttlefish coming up next. You want to take this arm piece, the tentacle piece that's at the very end at the top, all the way kind of on our left side. It's our left again. Now, I'm only going to do 2 on the arm that's to our right. Of course, that's King Dice's left arm, and the only reason that I did 2 on that one and then 3 on the first arm that's kind of closer to us is just because it's kind of like the illusion of seeing this character not directly head-on, but also not completely horizontal. You know, we're in sort of a quarter-turned view between those two planes of vision, I guess you could say. And so with that, that's why I only did 2 on one hand, and it also just gives us enough stamp space to do everything here that we want to do. So kidney bean was done actually 3 times for each shoe. That's because there's 2 for kind of the purple part of the shoe, but then there's that white part of the shoe right there that is where the laces go and all of that. So that's why we did that. A walrus body right now is in between. I guess we did it twice with a glue in between that for the bow tie. But notice we are already at the properties editor. That seemed like it came crazy fast, but this is just where I read background information and fun facts about whatever we create in this series, so let's go. King Dice is a man with a dice head who acts as the right-hand man of the devil character, of course from the game Cuphead. He's a tall humanoid guy with white gloves, purple shoes, and a purple tux with a purple bow tie. As an overconfident, sleazy, arrogant, and generally untrustworthy individual in the game, King Dice can be a sadistic and manipulative character. His design is also heavily influenced from and based on Cab Calloway, a big-time American jazz singer, and he even adds in the hidey-ho phrase if the player is defeated by Dice in his boss battle. That phrase was one that was commonly associated with Cab Calloway. Funny enough, despite that, his singing voice is a bit similar to Louis Armstrong. Hopefully you guys know who that is, of course. Thanks for requesting this character. We're actually going to move on, though, to something kind of new now, and that is question time. I'm just going to take about 4 minutes or less to answer a question or two that has come up before, but especially since last episode, and if you want to skip on through to the rest of the creation, just fast forward to the minutes and seconds spot noted by the text on screen now. So this is question time, basically just a little section for the video where we can break up some of the monotony and I can answer your questions. You guys asked some last episode, but also I had a question from SnakeJack04. This came from almost last year. I've got the question off to my side. It says, basically he was asking, I've been wondering what would be the best possible way to know every object in the game. But then last episode we did have a very similar question. It was from Aaron B. And he said, how do you plan out your creations and how do you find the right objects? So there are sort of 3 main points that I would say, but there's a lot of methods. So I will detail again 3 of them. The very first one we can just answer right here really quickly. Play through the story mode. Play through every part of the story that you can and look at every single piece, you know, so if you're on Wii U, tap with the stylus on every stamp you see around there. If you're on PC, of course, just click every single object that you see on the ground, that you see moving, that you see anywhere on the map, click it and that should get you a decent repertoire to start off with of various stamps. Now, there are two other methods that I will detail right here, and one of them is pretty unique, I think, but basically the second one that's pretty simple and easy is you can Google certain things. You know, you can actually use internet websites and stuff as a resource, so certainly feel free to kind of look things up, and I would say partly with that and partly with the first answer is play the game and practice a lot. You know, it just takes a lot of time. You know, I'm at a stage kind of where I've been doing this for 5 years, and so I know what a lot of the stamps are gonna end up looking like, and I know ultimately, okay, so if I want this type of shape, maybe it's a circle, maybe it's like a dot ovular type shape, or maybe it's something just completely different. I know what a lot of them look like just straight off the dome here. So, you know, it's like once you play and use the object editor a lot, you will start to get more familiar with it. So definitely if you've been doing it as much as I have, where you create multiple objects for 5 years every single week straight, basically, you have enough experience, you know, where you start to learn a lot of these stamps just by heart, by memory. And so I will detail, though, the last little method that I use, that whenever I do the rare times that I get stumped, let's say, then I'll use this method. So check this out. If you're somebody that has kind of played through the game and taken the advice that I just said in these earlier segments for this question, there is one more thing that you can do. Whenever you're typing in stamps in this game, you can actually just type in gibberish, you know, so just press a whole bunch of buttons randomly. It could be like B, X, Y, R, W, Q, whatever, just like type a whole bunch of things randomly, and then if you're on the gamepad, of course, for Wii U, it'll give you the suggestions on there, but if you're on PC, on screen, you should basically see a screen that says, "Did you mean?" And it suggests for you a bunch of different stamps that you could use. Now, again, this is kind of if you really just have no other direction, you're like, I really don't know what to do here. You can spend a long time doing this because obviously Scribblenauts Unlimited has the dictionary at its disposal, you know, so there's a ton of words in this game, obviously, as you guys know if you play it at all. So, you know, here you can type in like TTTFHNBV, and you'll get a whole bunch of different results in the whole "did you mean?" and then you just click on one of them and see what it looks like. So let's actually use that particular example as our example right now. So, you know, if I typed the little check mark right there after all those random just gibberish, you can see that, you know, there's a whole bunch of different things that it suggests for me to use. We can try whatever this Titanoba is. You can see that that came up with this snake-like creature right here. So do that again with any combination of letters right here and notice what happens. Hopefully you find some new stamps for your knowledge, and I hope that this small guide has helped you out a little bit. So let's get back on with the creation right now. So resuming the creation here, we do need to create the head. Of course, we're making the head and the body separately, and any time that you would do that is just because there is a stamp limitation in Scribblenauts Unlimited. So of course, you guys noticed we did create the body earlier on, and so we are creating the head right now. And as I mentioned, it being a separate object basically allows us to get a lot more detail that we wouldn't get otherwise. And so we're going to make a cube kind of be the main shape that covers over that head source object, and a hemisphere we'll take actually to paint all the way white, put it on both sides for the eyes, and we can go with a moon. There are kind of several stamps that you can get for this, but I like the moon as just one stamp that can sort of convey the design that we want for the eyebrows up at the top above those hemispheres. So that's looking good. A ping pong ball we'll go with once again. We used these earlier on the body, but now we're going to use it for the nose, basically right there. So just below that hemisphere eye shape. And we'll go with the dartfish, that dorsal fin at the top. We're actually going to do this several times, but notice that I put that kind of crackly pattern, the cracks right there, on the dartfish and kept it white. And the cracks is mainly to be that there are lines of teeth. It's basically showing that. And so that's why we did twice that dartfish fin, because that is, again, supposed to now be the mouth, his teeth smiling, basically. And so here's the jellyfish upper tentacle piece. Again, this looks just like a black line. We did it for the squid earlier that I was discussing all about that, you know, so this is the jellyfish version right here. The jellyfish is just a shorter, slightly thicker line, I would say, in this regard. And so the cuttlefish, that same end tentacle piece, the arm kind of tentacle, I guess, of the cuttlefish, it's that same one painted all the way black, can be combined with those jellyfish pieces for the mustache, while the hatchet fish, if you notice there's like a triangle triangular shape, I guess, fin for the hatchet fish down below its head. And so we've taken that, and it's twice in each eye, and if you basically flip them each next to each other and paint them all the way black, it looks really good for the eyes. I mean, he does kind of have that pie cut eye, similar to, like, you know, Bendy and the Ink Machine characters and stuff like that you've seen, you know, just sort of in the old style animation, which is obviously what Cuphead is all about. And so notice with this last piece right here on the top of the dice, it's we used yolk, basically the yolk of an egg, and made that to be for the little spots on the dice. And so here in the properties editor for the head object, just make sure you check off this third circle at the bottom half of the screen down there that says can be worn on the face like glasses. Second one from the bottom, of course. And so here we can now attach the head to the body, and so I'll show you how this works. Basically, because we scripted our head to go that way, it does actually lift up top, you know, it doesn't go into the hands, basically, of the object. So when we give that headpiece to the body object, that's what happens, but notice that it is sort of floating a little bit higher than we want it to be, so we can just basically edit the body now and turn on these green grids, which is indicated by that button on the left side. It's actually in the top right corner of the left side panel of buttons and things, with Maxwell's head and wheel and fruit and all those icons on that button right there. And so those green grids, you can basically see that there was a head grid, and you can move that head grid up or down, left or right as you needed to, so we just needed to move it down a little bit. But, you know, I think that you guys were probably waiting for it. We need to put down, I think we should first do an adjective of big, because the king dice needs to be towering over my Cuphead creation, because yes, I have created Cuphead and Mugman in a past episode. This was long ago. This was like when the game was first announced, and it seems like it just took off enormously in popularity, you know, since then, of course, I would say, but it was like first announced way back when, and so I did an episode, it was probably just about a year ago, I guess, maybe even a little bit more now that I think about it. And so notice that, of course, King Dice against Cuphead right here. It's going to be crazy. King Dice, probably as he should be, has way more health than just Cuphead individually right now. And so with this battle, of course, he's shooting out cards, and that creates the playing cards and whatnot. So kind of a good little reference, I guess, to King Dice in the game Cuphead. But certainly it's not going to look exactly like the Cuphead graphics or anything like that, because this is Scribblenauts. So if we notice that Cuphead has actually been taken down all by himself, and I figured that would happen, so what I did actually want to do was make our Cuphead and Mugman creations together now, try to fight and take on the King Dice right here, our King Dice villain. And so, of course, one thing that actually helps me out, and I got this suggestion from a subscriber, he was actually saying, you know, if you want kind of the characters to fight either 2-on-2 or 2-on-1, you know, you can add the adjectives good and bad, so we have a good Cuphead and a good Mugman versus a bad King Dice right here. And Cuphead about to go down again, just on that last little sliver of health. You can see, oh, he's actually, King Dice changing his attention. Is he gonna go back? Yes, he is. He just does one more shot, and Cuphead is down, his head sinking to the bottom like, you suck. So his head was all the way down there. I took it out of the water, and he's knocked it down again, so the head is once more there like, you still suck. And so it's just sinking down to the bottom. We'll let it go that way. Anyway, we really should fast forward through all of this. It looks like this fight is gonna take a little while, but it's with Cuphead and Mugman together, they do actually stand much more of a chance, but it's coming down to the wire here. I mean, Mugman is our last guy left, and sometimes you can see that the projectiles actually shoot each other down, and so now Mugman goes down to the final, it's the final victory basically for King Dice right here, so our new creation. Of course, you can edit their HP and their damage a little bit how you want to, but just for this purpose, I guess with this episode I should say, King Dice did win that battle right there. So anyway, of course, people that are familiar with my series do know that I have a baby son. My baby boy was born, and so baby Kendo we've shown off and whatnot. I'll try to get some pictures or video pretty often to you guys. He basically has been doing very well. Just to give you an update on that real fast, he actually had a photo shoot. Me and Mrs. Kendo took him to a little photo shoot in our mall, and so that was pretty nice. And so hopefully I can show you guys the results of that one day. But anyway, yeah, baby Kendo doing really well, so thank you for asking. He's actually put on the good amount of weight that we wanted him to, because he was losing weight for a while, which is kind of normal for babies after they're first born and stuff, and then he gained that weight back, which is good. You know, that means he's healthy. He's feeding well. So baby Kendo just absolutely an angel, letting us actually get sleep. So, you know, many thanks to baby Kendo. I can actually get this work done too. But yes, I think next episode we are going to reach in the back pocket of some episodes I had done before, so feel free to leave your comments and everything, but I'm going to be tallying the most popular, most requested objects over the next 2 weeks rather than just coming up this week, because this week I will have a pre-recorded episode for you guys, and we're going to be going into a series that we've never done before, and it's also going to be combined with a series that we have done before, just one time before, so mostly new stuff in Scribblenauts Unlimited. So I'll go ahead and just sign off with the usual, and I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.
For a live life how-to, but that's clearly not my decision to spool. I just give insight without writing rule. To speak from experience, we want the future pleasant, and we're ripping on the past and glorifying up the present.